Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us, or you've got a good idea for a leather element, drop it in the comment box below. Shop Elements, Part 2. Last element, we talked about our main cutting table. Nothing better than to have a solid, sturdy work table, and we can do everything on this table. But if we've got a little extra space, there are two add-ons that are a big help and for a number of reasons. So let's step over here. We're going to look at our punch table first. If we've got the space in our shop, this is a big help. It's simply a tooling and punching table. Very sturdy, easy construction. We'll look at that very shortly. But the big point there, this simply bolts onto my table with two bolts. So therefore, I can drop this in anywhere around my work table that my space allows. The height, we're right at 33 to 34 inches, same as our cutting table. That's about 83 to maybe 86 centimeters. The point here is this. When I'm punching round holes, English points, I tend to stand up. That gives me the most upper body strength. But when I'm dropping in a chisel line or stamping or tooling, this is the perfect height for a common stool. Here's a big help and a nice touch. I am always knocking my mallet off the table. A couple of long wood screws, we can drop our mallet right there. It's out of the way, but always at hand. Our tool rack, this can simply sit on our main table. If we need the space there, we can move it, but also we've got an additional 14 inches of space if we need it. All right, let's pop the lid, take a look at the construction. I want to use the same plywood here that I do for my main table. First off, that makes everything flush. Secondly though, again, I want a good foundation for my quartz or my marble. Now this piece, 14 by 24 or 35.5 centimeters, by 60.96 centimeters. But when we go to construct our box, and this is simply 2x4s, and we'll talk about this, but I need 15.5 inches or 39.3 centimeters because we've got our overhanging lip. We talked about that when we looked at the main table. So right here, I've just got 2x4s. Now, I backed off a little bit. These are 2x2s simply to save some money, but it worked out nicely. Because right here, I have a little extra space. I'm not banging my knee on that. But for the most part, that is more than sturdy enough. Now, for our support, these are simply fence risers or spindles. On the bottom, I've got just a corner cut, and our bottom shelf gives us support. Now, to measure for that, super easy. All I have to do is lay that in, clamp it right here, drop in a screw, trim it off. Super easy to measure. But again, the cool point here, two bolts. We take these bolts out and we can drop this table in anywhere around our main work table we want because those simply rest on that bottom shelf. Nice addition here, big help to me. Also, one last point. I've got about an extra 14 inches on my 6 feet if I need it. Okay, we've got a good feel for this. Let's jump over and look at our pattern table. If there's one thing we can all agree on, is that we never have enough table or enough workspace. That's a common problem. So having a smaller table is a big help. Now it's a lightweight table. We'll look at some construction here, but the point here is just like with our punch table. I can put this table anywhere around my table, clamp it down, and it's very stable. Now it's desk height, so I can sit in my office chair or a comfortable chair. I'm not punching or tooling or stamping over here, so I can work on my patterns or tracing film or designs. But also, I love this table almost more because I can use it as a staging table. I can keep my patterns, or say the parts of a project I've already cut, I can keep those over here. Doesn't mess up my main work table. I'm not trying to constantly push stuff out of my way, and we all know what that's about. But also, if we have dyed items or glue, things can sit over here and dry. Again, out of our way, off our main work table. My pony, I love to sew standing up. And when I clamp this onto this height of table, that puts that project at a very comfortable height for me. So the table size or the height, this is 30 inches, standard desk size or height. So right to the top of my frame here, we're at 30 inches. Now, we've looked at this, but I'm going to mention this because we're going to come back around to this. Over here on our main cutting table, we're at 33 inches or 83.82 centimeters, 76.2 centimeters. So there's a 3-inch difference there. We'll come back around to that. So on our main table, this is 2 foot by 3 foot. Same width as our main cutting table for two reasons. First off, I can lift this up, and we'll look at that. But I can lift this up. I've now got an extra 2 feet of cutting table. But at the same time, this piece actually comes out of the same plywood as this. So when we go to one of our big hardware stores, they typically will cut our lumber for us. If we ask them to cut it like this, then we'll be able to get everything out of one 4x8 foot piece of plywood. We're just trying to be economical here. So if we get them to make their first cut lengthwise, that gives us a 1 foot by 8 foot piece. One more cut. Now we've got our 3 foot by 6 foot for our main cutting table, and we've got our 2 foot by 3 foot for our pattern table. Now, there's a wrench in this plan, as always. Our punch table is 14 inches wide. We've only got 12 here. Well, what we can do is get them to make 2 cuts, 14 and then another 14 inches. And then we can just lay those together on our punch table. That will be ample foundation for our marble. Now, on either end of our table, we have a nice touch. And we looked at this on our main cutting table. We've got an overhang here. Does a couple of things for us. First off, we can clamp all kind of tools down onto that. But secondly, this is a recessed area, so I can drop in some nails, drop in my templates, or say other tools I'm going to use when I'm working on patterns or designs. Again, that's inset, so therefore I'm not going to catch that on my clothes or keep knocking these off. That's frustrating. But at the same time, one side note, this is the side of the table that is typically to the back of my shop. The camera side has nothing on it, simply to help with the clutter. But the point there is we've got a recessed edge on both sides of this table. Well, let's take the top off, look at some simple construction. Now I'm a little embarrassed because evidently I put this together before I stained it. Well, anyway, the point is, simple construction. There's our cross brace on the inside, legs on the outside, same on the other end. And when we clamp this to our main table, very sturdy. So it's a super simple table. Now, we can lift this up. Let's take a look at that. From time to time, I could use a little extra length on my main table length. It's only 6 feet. Once in a while, I've got a bigger side. So what I can do is these are the end cuts from the 2x4s when I made the main table. I can glue or screw these together. That's exactly 3 inches. So let's drop one of those under each of our 4 legs. So now we have an extra 2 feet on top of our 6 feet. So that's an 8-foot table. That's going to handle just about any length of hide. Now, like I said, we can make this as sturdy as we want. But once we clamp this onto our main table, that's an exceptionally sturdy table. That does everything I need. We can absolutely work on our kitchen table, our coffee table, and we can do beautiful work. In fact, I've mentioned this, sometimes I miss those days. But if we've got a good work table and a little extra space, these are 2 nice additions with a bunch of benefits. I hope this is good information for you. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.